What was the spark that made you want to take on the ultimate challenge and own a football club?
It was a dream, and now it's a nightmare. I was 16, and I lived away in Northampton, and I used to see the ground, Northampton Town, and there. I thought one day I want to own a football club, and it's just been that sort of
Right.
percolating inside me since I was such a young lad.
What was the reason for that documentary? Was it, you wanted the people from outside the town to see more about Eastbourne, or for the local community to be more involved in something that goes global?
Why did I do it? I did it because I really wanted to tell a story. From the minute I arrived, I had camera crews with me. The social media has been really important to the club. Some people just don't get why we do it. In today's world, any business, any enterprise needs to be able to tell great stories.
Welcome to Football Business Television. I'm delighted to be joined by Simon Leslie, the chairman, or Mr. Chairman, as we were just talking off camera, of Eastbourne Borough Football Club. Simon, how are we?
Exceptional. It's not been a superb football weekend, so let's talk more football.
It's always the worst part of my job. It probably is yours as well, when things aren't necessarily going swimmingly. The last thing you want to talk about is football, and it's the one thing that everybody wants to talk to you about. So it's a tough one.
I come home yesterday after watching us lose, and then watch a bit more football just in case I haven't had enough football. Then I'll stay up and watch Match of the Day, and that's a full day of football yesterday.
Yeah,
And I've
yeah.
just watched Boreham Wood. I think Boreham Wood must be winning now, must have won by now. And they knocked us out of the FA Cup, and they've now gone on to the next level. So good luck to them.
Yeah, that's a nice attitude to have. No bitterness around here, as you're known for. Well, just to kind of even it up a little bit, maybe we'll kick off with a bit of non-football stuff for those that might not necessarily know your background and kind of who Simon Leslie is. You co-founded a business that I was really fond of and aware of because of my background in publishing for a long, long time. Ink Publishing in 1994, and turned it into, I want to say, probably the biggest travel publisher globally. What was the thinking or the original vision behind Ink?
The original vision was I just wanted a job. I didn't want to work for anybody else, so I kept going with it and I kept pushing. I think it was my third or fourth business, and the other three had all failed. So this was the one that I thought, this one can't fail. This can't fail, and it nearly did. And it's a funny story. It was literally a miracle, genuine miracle. Someone sent us money by accident and only asked for it back the day we sold the business.
Oh,
So
wow.
it's just bizarre. Somebody was looking down on me. We didn't have enough money to pay the wages and the VAT, and £57,000 turned up in our account from a German private wealth bank, and they didn't discover it for about 3 or 4 years. And I always think that, life is funny like that. Sometimes when you need that little bit of something to happen, it always seems to happen for me, and it's been like that. I have this saying, it's like life is like a dripping tap, and as long as you don't turn it off, it'll just keep dripping good stuff. And that's been my mantra for a long time. And the tap keeps dripping, and it still drips to this day.
Good. I'm a big believer in you make a little bit of your own luck, and you're obviously a ridiculously hardworking guy. So we won't put it all down to just good fortune. And you certainly grew a business that was incredible, and one for somebody again that grew up in and around the publishing era of the 90s, was a business that I looked on fondly and actually almost went to work there a couple of times. But that's a conversation for maybe in the pub. What was the maybe COVID aside, because I think that's probably an obvious one in terms of the impact that had on that particular business. What was the biggest challenge that you faced growing Ink?
Well, go back through them. You got 9/11, 2008,
Yeah,
2015. We sort of self-destructed. We overexpanded, overinvested, and then COVID. So every couple of years, there was always something that sort of was sent to trip us up, see how strong we were. COVID was the hardest because we were at the very peak of our business and doing particularly well. And then overnight, one of the exciting things about travel is it doesn't ever seem to wane. People will give up everything but a summer holiday.
Yeah,
And then we were suddenly hit with this moment in time where everyone was stuck at home and nobody could go on holiday. No one could do anything. And the truth of that is not it's not quite true, because I had some amazing holidays in some of the places that I would not normally go to because no one was traveling.
mm,
If you were clever enough, there was a period sort of late 20, early 21 where you could stay at some of the best hotels in the world for
yeah,
absolutely nothing. They had to stay open. The airlines had to keep flying, so the planes were empty. And if you were brave enough, we had some phenomenal holidays. And for me, it was the only way I could get to the States, because if you spent
yeah,
2 weeks outside Europe, you could fly into the States.
yeah. I
So I'd
spent a lot
take
of
the
time in
family.
Florida, late 20.
I'd take the family to Barbados. We'd have 2 week holiday in Barbados. They'd go home, and I'd go to America.
Yeah, it was definitely a haven for a lot of people. I think certainly on the East Coast, saw a lot more Brits than usual. I think late 2020. Sticking with publishing, you've written several books, which I still haven't received a signed one, but we'll talk about that another time. How has being an author shaped the way that you lead businesses, or is it the other way around?
You know, when an English teacher tells you you're not very good at anything, I think, I don't know if he's still alive now, but I think you'd be very surprised that I wrote 4 books and 400 poems actually during COVID as well.
400.
Um, 400, so I created a poetry book as well. I think what I attempted to do was document my life. So
Mm,
every moment, the first one, "There's no F in sales," was the first 15 years of business. White belt thinking came out during COVID, and it was just, how you think like a beginner again, and then equanimity, which is the story of COVID. It was 2 years. It was a diary of a CEO in crisis, and the last one I wrote last year, which is called "How to Live Your Second Life First," which started out as a love letter to my kids, and then I thought, you know what, I've only got a few of them, so I'm gonna turn it into a sort sort of a guidebook for 16 to 25-year-olds to say, look, here's something you should read. These are some of the shortcuts, because everyone's obsessed with shortcuts now, but it is a long game, and life is quite long, and you've got to
mm.
be able to stick in the game. I actually, you don't even know this, I'm going to tell you this now. So when I went um, to Amsterdam in October, November time, was it? I can't remember what it was.
For
September.
Soccer mate.
Yeah, I actually decided to write another book on the pitch, and it's called Total Selling, and it's an homage to Johan Cruyff. Johan Cruyff.
Yeah.
Um, so it's how selling and his vision of football are the same, and that'll be out in the new year.
Oh, I'll definitely grab a copy of that. Two of my
That one you can
favourite.
have a signed copy, because it starts off with, I'm standing on the pitch here drinking Heineken Silver, enjoying myself, and suddenly it dawns on me that there was a similarity between Cruyff and selling.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of storybook selling, and Cruyff was certainly a storyteller when it comes to football. What a great night that was! Actually, scored two penalties at the Cruyff Arena that night, which I'll dine out on forever. Um, After decades of entrepreneurship and running, incredibly successful businesses, what was the spark that made you want to take on the ultimate challenge and own a football club?
It was a dream, and now it's a nightmare. I think I was 16, and I lived away in Northampton, and I used to see the ground, Northampton Town, and I think one of my dad's friends was director there. I thought one day I want to own a football club, and it's just been that sort of
Right.
percolating inside me since I was such a young lad. And in 23, I had fallen out of love with business a little bit, and I needed a new challenge. And I just started. I'm one of life's manifestors, and apparently I told one of my coaches, this time next year I'll have a football club, and I didn't even remember telling them that. And when he saw me announce it, he said, I can't believe you, because you said to me a year ago this is what would happen. And I said, did I? He goes, yeah. So I went around, I went visiting all different clubs, and I kept asking people, and people kept saying, you can't afford to do it, you can't do this, which again is just to, fuel the fire a little bit more. And
Mm,
off I went, and I turned up at Eastbourne, and Eastbourne was different to everything else I'd been to look at. Everyone else was sort of locked in the back of an estate, not much land, not much potential. And I got to Eastbourne, and there was this, 13 acres of land or 11 acres of land, and a football club in the middle of it. And there's just so much opportunity to do some clever stuff there. And they'd never been in the football league. There wasn't the infrastructure in there really to to achieve what they wanted to achieve. So
mm.
it gave me an opportunity to sort of rip up the blueprint and have another go, or have a go.
Yeah, there's a lot of really strong reasons as to why that club will be successful, and I'm a big fan, as you know, of the local club stuff, and the fact that Eastbourne's never had a football league club, I would imagine is rad to a ball for somebody like you. So I don't doubt that it will be achieved. When I won't commit to, but I'm certain that you'll get there. Was there? You talked about the real estate and the land and the opportunity there. Was that the kind of key USB for the club?
No, I think that it was. I'd been to see Colchester the week before, and he had a beautiful stadium, but he didn't own the stadium. The stadium was owned by the council.
Mm,
It was costing a lot of money to run it, and he had lots of people who did this, lots of people who do that, and everything was sort of in the place, and they were still not particularly successful. And then when I got to Eastbourne, they didn't have a physio, they didn't have anything. Unbeknown to most people, as in the early days, I was still funding some of the season before. I was funding the coaches, I was funding snacks, I was funding bits and pieces for them to finish the season strong, before I even bought it. And there was even a period where the whole league and FA thing took so long that I had to fund the club, even though I didn't even own the club. So that was quite a brave decision as well.
that's certainly showing commitment from an early days when you're not protected by any kind of contract. So yeah, kudos to you to that. How important, we talked off camera about the community in Eastbourne. How important was that for you as a driver? I know you're a big supporter of the local community and a big kind of drum banger, if you like, of what can and should be achieved in Eastbourne. How important was that side of it for you?
You know, Someone sent me a picture today of me playing the drums on the bin at Dorking yesterday. And I know we had about 200 people there, and I know them all, and they'll all come up and shake my hand and say, you're doing a great job, or we love the documentary, or I'm in the documentary, or
Yeah, yeah,
they're all getting more and more proud of this club, and we've grown the fan base. It's growing. They're a little bit fickle, sometimes they come, sometimes they don't.
hmm,
But without the community, without people in Eastbourne getting behind their own club, then there is nothing. Brighton has become a 40,000. They've got a 40,000 seater stadium. Half an hour down the road. They used to struggle to get 2 or 3,000 into there, not that long ago. So
no,
you've got to build it, and they will come. I've got the drawings, I've got the vision, and if we all keep believing and we all keep telling a positive story about you know, it's a beautiful city, it's a beautiful town.
hmm,
There's no bones about it. There are elements and parts of it now which has let itself down, but this was originally the Monte Carlo of Great Britain. It's the sunniest place in Great Britain, so
yeah.
the ingredients are there to make an unbelievable cake.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I love the Monte Carlo of Britain. Certainly, certain parts of it certainly make me feel that way. You just touched on the documentary, which has absolutely exploded. I think I've seen you in the studios at Sky Sports, at the BBC, on Talksport. You're everywhere at the moment. What was the reason for that documentary? Was it you wanted the people from outside the town to see more about Eastbourne, or for the local community to be more involved in something that goes global. What was the kind of thinking behind that? And have you been surprised by the success of it? We're running into millions of views on this on YouTube already, right?
I don't think I was surprised. You know what I've been most surprised at? People going to me, do you know what? It's really good.
Right.
My
Okay.
friends saying, what did you expect? I was going to make something that was rubbish. I mean, I'm not quite sure, but
Yeah, I
like,
enjoyed
no,
it.
no, but it's really what. Even my son said to me the other day. He said when he watched it for the very first time, he literally binged it, and he said, "I can't believe how good it is, and what a
Mm,
great story it tells." So, um, when they first gave me the edit, it was 3 1-hour episodes, and I went, "I know this is about me, but it's bloody boring." And I sat down and I recut it and I re-edited it, and we came up with a seven. Well, originally it was a 5 part, then it became a 6 part, and then it became a 7 part because there was just so much to tell.
yeah.
We're still negotiating series 2 now. We've got a couple of episodes penned out already, and it is a really roller coaster arc.
Yeah.
Why did I do it? I did it because I really wanted to tell a story. From the minute I arrived, I had camera crews with me. The social media has been really important to the club. Some of the people just don't get why we do it, but
Yeah.
you can't in today's world. Any business, any enterprise needs to be able to tell great stories. And if you tell great stories, people come and jump with you on the journey. And so I
Yeah.
wanted to tell a story. And um, there's been a lot of football documentaries made, and I think there's a little bit of resistance from some of the broadcasters. I'm very lucky I've managed to get it into the US. The Zone have told me they're going to put it on their platform
Brilliant.
um, in next week. Uh, I've got the Netflix of China, waiting for a Chinese subbed version, which we're in the process of doing. And obviously, we've had 2 million streams on YouTube. And I just think that, this is, I'll tell you when it really hit me. I walked into the Sky Studios set last week, and they've got this 20-foot wide by 12-foot wall, and bang in the middle of there was my logo.
Yeah, I
And I'm
saw it.
thinking,
Yeah.
oh my God, what the hell is going on, right? This tiny little club, we're now front and center, and I'm really proud of that. I'm proud of the fact that I knew the documentary would lead to lots of things, but I didn't realize how far and wide it would go.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. And part of that is the local feel good stuff. I think is really important, and we're enjoying as part of this channel telling the stories of everybody across the football pyramid, right? And I think that the fact you've had 2+ million views on a documentary that's about a town with 100,000 people in it is pretty incredible. What's your personal favourite part of the documentary, if you have one?
It's funny that we're talking about the FA Cup and Bournemouth today. That's my least favourite part. The first season we
Right.
lost to Bournemouth. Second season we lost to Bournemouth. Um, I think my favourite part, my favourite episode is Gaz Parks, which I think is episode 2, which is the guy who said it really helped him manage his mental health, and he
Yeah.
was he was pretty broken, and this has given him another cause to believe in, and following him and his story, and we've just helped him create something called the Brotherhood, which is a
Yeah.
mental health charity in Eastbourne. So I love that we've been able to do some amazing things. I love Sarah's story. In episode 1 she talks about her breast cancer, and I
Yeah.
think episode 6 she talks about the fact that she's cancer free, and
Yeah. Brilliant.
that made me cry when I watched that. If I'm honest.
Yeah, I know people that know her. Incredible that, and I think I always say that football can do things that other things just can't do. And whether it's the mental health awareness, the brotherhood stuff, or stories like Sarah's, I think football can take that to a different place, right? And certainly on the men's mental health side of things, we talk about it a lot. And I was talking to somebody yesterday, a very well known influencer, who's dedicating a lot of his time now to doing that kind of work in Scotland and north of the UK, which is great to see. What's been the biggest adjustment for you since you've owned Eastbourne Borough? I'm assuming there's a few more miles on the clock in terms of motorway miles. I don't mean on you. What's
And
the
me as
biggest
well. I
adjustment?
think there's a few extra lines.
That's par for the course.
Yeah, I've certainly been to parts of England that I never thought I'd visit and see.
Yeah.
And we had lots of nice weekends away. Last year we went to Truro, and the plane was delayed 12 hours going out and 4 hours coming back, and we won. So it didn't matter. But if you can you imagine what I'd be like if we'd lost, going all that way. Um, I don't. I think it's just you've got to be resilient. I mean, the abuse that you get sometimes when things aren't going
Mm,
well, or you make some poor decisions, or manager makes some poor hires, and it's all your fault.
yeah.
And I guess it is, right? Because it starts at the top, and if we say we give you the freedom to do the things that you do, and if you make
Mm,
mistakes, it's down to us. So that's a challenge. It's always a challenge when people are not being very nice to you.
yeah.
And to Alan as well. I think they're slightly more brutal to Alan. I think Alan does everything. He does a hell of a lot of things at the club, but he doesn't do everything. And certainly the playing decisions where they're all on the managers most of the time, and managers get it right and wrong. And that was one of the very reasons that I started to look at football, because so many players get hoofed out the door far too
Mm,
easily. You know, even today I'm frustrated because there are players that we're letting go who I genuinely believe, can be good players, but
yeah.
there isn't the patience, there isn't the money to be able to just go, okay, we'll keep them here, and we'll keep trying with them. But that's what I like to see a little bit more. And as we get more successful, I certainly want to be able to bring in more and more players.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think it's a tough thing at your level, right? Because it's difficult to say here's a 2, 3, 4 year contract when things are so up and down season to season. But yeah, I think I know you personally, so it always makes me feel quite sad when I hear of any abuse thrown at your direction, because I know without question everything you do for that club is coming from a real place of love and ambition and determination to make the place do well. And I think that's just a common theme that you'll share with the fans, right? So if they knew you personally, maybe they wouldn't see you as just the owner that's swanned in and done a documentary or whatever, right? You've certainly done a hell of a lot more than that. Um, what's been you talked about some challenges. What's been the happiest single day, if there've been one, since you've owned Eastbourne? And you can't choose the day that you picked up the keys. That's an easy win.
That was going to say last weekend was a great day. After
Yeah,
the
it was. I was
weekend
there. Yeah,
before, and then you know you, this is a proper Ted Lasso script, right? You can't make this stuff up. You go to Torquay, get stuff 7-0, then you come home and win
yeah,
6-0. And I went in on Thursday and did a little Churchillian speech with the boys and told them some things that I thought, and we definitely got a pep up, and I think we did play really well yesterday. Um, really happiest day. I mean, last year was quite a happy season. We were
mm,
we were winning, but actually, watching the documentary back, we realised how many points we dropped during the season. That we lost the league by 1 point, which is one of those draws. We were 3-1 up against Hemel like
yeah.
halfway through the season and drew 3-3. And it's like, oh, just that one game would have made us
Yeah,
champions.
I was at the Worthing game when they went down to 10 men. There were like 3,500 people there. It was insane, and that finished 1-1 all, I think.
Yeah, and the
And
guy handballed it off the line in the last
yeah,
minute.
that's right.
The
Yeah, yeah,
the referee missed that. Um, I think the happier thing is seeing those crowds,
yeah.
seeing people queuing round the ground to come in on those last 3 Saturdays when we were sold out 3 Saturdays on the trot. And I think the saddest days were just seeing the fans miserable. That's
Mm,
especially at the beginning of this season. When they're coming up and they're like, this ain't good enough. And I'm like, don't worry, I feel the same pain as you do.
of
Um,
course.
and somehow they think we don't. And we don't get upset when we lose. And we don't when we lose, like from yesterday till next Saturday, it's going to bother me. Every
Yeah,
single day it's bothering me. So, um, sometimes I like a Tuesday game because it gives us a chance to get the Saturday game out of our system. But
Yeah, of course.
we haven't got any at the minute, so it's we've got to wait till next Saturday to hopefully get some retribution.
Yeah, let the fire burn for an extra few days and see what you come up with. You're really committed, and that's without question. Non-league football's financially tough, as you'll know. Better than most, certainly from taking over the club in the position that it was in. How do you balance the ambition, not just of the fans, but of yourself as well, right? Because I know you're a really ambitious guy on and off the pitch, for the club and for yourself in business. How do you balance ambition with sustainability and ensuring that the club is here and sustainable for the long term?
And this is sort of part of the thing that I get frustrated about when people go on the forums. I mean, a lot of people who go on the forums don't even come. The
Yeah,
five most um, aggressive people haven't been to a game in the year, but yet
really.
they come on every week and tell us how not very good we are. Um, but they question why are you putting paddle in? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? And I'm doing that because that will help fund and make the club much more self-sustainable.
Mhm.
You cannot make a living out of 700 people coming to watch a football match.
No.
You know, the best thing about last week was 6-0 loss, but there were 714 people there. Just think of the maths. We've got a £1 million budget. You, you need 2,500, 3,000 people every single game to get anywhere close to break even. So if you can't do it through football, then you've got to then bring in ancillary revenues, and that's why the paddle's coming, the wellness centre's coming, and we're going to keep looking for more and more um, revenue opportunities that can help us become self-sustaining. Because it's no good me writing checks, and I'm not going to write checks forever, and I don't want to ever be in a position where if I can't afford to write a check, this club is knocking on you know on the wrong doors, and uh, we're getting to a place now where I can't keep doing that, and I've got to find these ancillary revenues that will help support it.
And again, that will go towards the club becoming a real community hub as well, right? So it should be a win-win for the local people as well as as well as the club achieving the long-term sustainability. Um, is there a particular, again, something a bit positive? Has there been one moment that stands out when you've been at a game where you go, "This is why I'm here"? Parking all of the other stuff. This is what I'm doing this for.
I'm going to take three players.
Okay,
Seeing Fletcher Hellman going to Wolves,
great kid.
Braden Johnson going to Middlesbrough,
Yeah.
and Arthur Grant scoring at Ebbsfleet a couple of weeks ago. They're all teenagers, and
Mm,
they'd come. Fletcher had been released by Brighton, had given up on football, was playing locally, I think at Eastbourne Town.
yeah.
Um, we didn't think that he'd get in the team that season, and we tried to put him out on loan. He goes, "No, I'm not going on loan. I want to fight for a place." We had so many injuries. He ended up on the pitch, and he scored 5 goals, and that video went viral. And
Yeah.
next week, there's all these scouts coming in, and the same thing happened with Braden, and I imagine the same thing's going to happen with Arthur. I mean, Arthur is probably one of the best players in the league at the minute,
I agree.
and still got so much ahead of him, and he's such a nice. They're all three of them were absolutely lovely boys,
Yeah.
and I think um, Courtney's on TV at the minute playing for Warsaw, and he's a regular there, and he scored his first EFL goal. So that you say, what's your happiness? Seeing these boys succeed, seeing these boys achieve what they're capable of achieving, because when they came to us, they were nowhere near that.
Yeah, I'd agree. I've actually known Fletcher since he was a kid. He was my sister's neighbour. And he's my 14-year-old nephew who plays for your JPL team. He sees him as a real inspiration because of coming into Borough and then signing for a Premier League club. That's no mean feat for sure. What is we hate the term 5-year plan in football, even though it's bounded around by everybody, right? But you have to have that, I think, stability or show the stability in the next 3 to 5 years. What's the vision for Eastbourne Borough in the next 5 years?
When they come and ask me to do my budget for the business, I say, look, we're coming up with numbers 14 months ahead of, of time, and you think they're going to be clever and good. You think we'll be right. So when I'm missing them in the fourth quarter next year, you're going to turn around and say to me, you can't budget. And I think it's the same with planning for football. It's like, man plans and
Yeah,
God laughs. And
yeah,
every time I say anything, the fans will latch onto that and say, "Oh, I think Adam said last year, if we don't win the league this year, we'll win it by Christmas next year." And obviously, Adam left, right? And that
yeah.
quote is now being attributed to Alan, not Adam.
Oh,
And
really?
and they're now like, "Oh, here we go. Well, we're going to win it by Christmas." We never said that, and we've been very careful not to put anything that our ambition is to get in the league. And
Yeah,
however long it'll take, if we can do it in 5 years, I'll be absolutely delighted. I think this year we're gonna we're gonna struggle to win the league, but who knows? Who knows what happens in the second half of the year? We have a fantastic run. Anything is possible. I think as a National League club, you've got so many more opportunities than you do as a National League South. So the important thing is to build a squad good enough to get out of this league, and then be able to compete in the National League. And you're seeing the teams at the top of the National League are beating all the Premier League um, under 21 teams very comfortably.
yeah,
So I think there's a, a lot of opportunities. I mean, if I had my way, I'd say that League Two should become a North and a South, merge with the National League. So you had a North and a South League Two, with the National League South feeding into the North and the South,
right.
and
Okay.
therefore we'd be the equivalent of the National League because we've got half the teams are full time, and the budgets that are being spent now here are, make it a viable football club.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, of course. Um, I just don't. I don't think it won't happen. I just believe when you say stuff because I've seen it happen in business anyway, and I think that it'd be great to get the community to sing from the same hymn sheet, and I certainly do. As every opportunity I get, I champion you guys and the work that you're doing because obviously I know you and Alan and other people behind the scenes at the club who really, really do care about what you're doing day to day, and the work that goes in is incredible. I'll let you go. I know you've got tons on, and I genuinely appreciate you taking up the time on what is a Sunday afternoon. Before we go, what's your message for? And I'm not saying we're going to capture lots of Eastbourne Borough fans. We might do because you're quite popular. What would be your overriding message for the Borough fans that are watching?
I think it's very simple. We will get there. We will get there. We will achieve it. You have to come and do more, spend more at the club. When we have these events, non-football events, pub
Yeah,
quizzes, um, singers, Pablo Bloom's flying in from Benidorm tonight to do an event. I think there'll be 100 odd people there. We need to see more of the fans there, and like you say, we need to create a hub. We've got
yeah,
parking. We've got a great club, a great pub, great sports bar, and I think we need to do more. We need to make the environment more, and I think now with everything that's being built out at the minute, you'll see a difference when you walk into that uh, facility in the new year, and I can't wait. And I'm I'm really proud of Eastbourne Borough fans because they are the majority of them are really really nice, good human beings who make this club what it is today, and that's why we are achieving what we're achieving because they deserve the success.
yeah. Very well put. I think even for non-Borough fans, one of the things that I love about local clubs is the ability to attract the neutrals, or I didn't grow up a Borough fan, and I try not to disclose my club too much, but I enjoy coming over and the community stuff, and they've become my almost second team. And I think everybody in the town, which is actually quite a big football town, should adopt the same approach and come and support the club. And there is Cruz Campo on tap, which is
Cold
always good.
Bruce down.
A cold one. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah,
I tell you what's just that's triggered in my head was Norwegian are our shirt sponsors, and I've had people from Norway come in, buy the kit, and say, "I'm here because we saw Norwegian, we wanted to do it." We've had stag nights from Belgium, from Spain come in, and you know, there is lot of legacy in Eastbourne of people who came here or their parents came here in English, because in the summer it was an EF town where people
Yeah, that's right.
learns English. And I get sort of emails and texts and DMs from all over the world from people going, "I'm following you, what you're doing in Eastbourne." And I said, "It's this guy in Bogota." And I said, "Why?" He goes, "Because I learned English in Eastbourne 15 years ago, and it's still close." I think there is actually quite a diaspora of Eastbourne fans all over the world. We got a Texas fan club at the moment, um, and a Miami fan. We're slowly growing, and I hope to have a.
Yeah, no doubt, and long may the journey continue, my friend Simon. As always, it's a pleasure to be in your company and infectious, and I'm in a better mood than I was when this started. So I can say thanks for that. We've taken up enough of your time, and I'll see you at a game over there Saturday, I think.
Look forward to it.